Coming up on this episode of the Stock Market Playbook, we have Jane Gallina, the mom, the day trader, the swing trader, the pilot, the culinary specialist, and the everything else. She's got a wild story, and she's got some very good tips on how she finds the biggest trades and the biggest runs in the market. Stay tuned. You're going to love this episode. Welcome to the Stock Market Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Jared Johnson. Today we're joined with the one and only Jane Gallina. So happy to have you with us. I would say that you have a different take than our typical guests. We have a lot of fund managers and everything on here, and we're super excited to have you on here because I think you represent a pretty large population of traders, which is you're a mom, you're a trader, you're even a day trader. Can we say that?
Yes, I am a day trader, a swing trader, but I do pay attention to the bigger money flow 100%. So I do utilize that in both day and swing trading. So I fit in there a little bit, just following it instead of creating it.
That's excellent. I definitely want to dig into your strategy, what you do, what you look at, what you love, and tell us real quick. So you're joining us from, is it Canada?
Correct. I am a U.S. expat up in Montreal and just made the decision to move back to the States, back down to Orlando, roughly in July. That's the time frame because I am a mom and I do have 2 kids in school. So we're waiting for the school year to end before the official move happens.
Gotcha. So you're from the U.S., you moved to Canada. How long have you been up in Canada?
15 years now.
Okay. Excellent. So, and are you excited to move back down? Was the cold winter finally getting to you and you thought I need some more Florida in my life?
Well, we do have 2 condos that are down in Orlando, and we started traveling down there. 2 seconds while I just exit a position on silver. Liking that I see that the big money changed their position, and I want to get out because I don't want to go against them. So let me just jump in here 2 seconds and sell off.
I love it.
Position.
I love it.
Boom.
This is real time action here. Just doing a podcast, day trading at the same time. This is cool.
I've been monitoring it all morning, so it's good. Okay, let me change this one as well. All right. I had another order out, so I just got to cancel that one.
I think we definitely have a good bit to chat about on silver as well. So we'll also dive in on that.
All right, perfect.
Wild run.
Back with you. No more. Let me just make sure. Let me see what I have left in the position. All right. I've got a small position. Okay, perfect. So where were we? What I do basically is as a day trader for my day trading setups, I'm live every morning on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and I'm sharing out what I'm looking at, what is moving that morning, setting up the trades for everybody. And I came to trading back in 2000, actually. So I was working at Smith Barney, fresh out of college, international business degree major. And nice. At that time, it was the .com era. And so the brokers were hiring. And I moved to Atlanta. And it was great. I learned a lot. I got my Series 7. I was an assistant to 4 different brokers. And I was turning in those paper tickets at the trading desk. And it taught me a lot about the market at that time. And I learned about margin. I learned about options. We had the WorldCom options desk in our office, and all was great until the .com bubble imploded.
It wasn't.
Yeah, till it wasn't. And then they were doing layoffs, right? So they were doing layoffs in our office. And the funny thing was, right, that everyone says, write down what you'd want, right, as a goal in life. Well, I'd written down on my resume at that time that I wanted to go to culinary school in Europe before I got hired. And they went back and they saw that and they asked me for a voluntary layoff. And I thought, Get paid to go to culinary school in Europe or stay here in an industry that's not doing so well.
Yep,
I'm going to
yep.
Europe. Thanks. So the first layoff
Wow.
of my life took me away from the market. And then fast forward to meeting my husband, immigrating to Canada, getting my citizenship, and I find myself pregnant. He is a pilot. I am a private pilot. We met in aviation in Philadelphia. And so I kept my job with US Airways at the time and moved up to Canada. And due to a reduction of workforce at 8 months pregnant, I was laid off again. Yeah.
So you're working in the markets, voluntary layoff, go to culinary school. So did you go to culinary school? Did
I
you
did.
go
I
and
was actually
continue?
first in my class at Cordon Bleu.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Did you do anything with the culinary training you got?
I did. I went and after I left Paris, I went to Philadelphia and I lived there for 10 years and I worked in the restaurant world. I worked with Marc Vetri. I worked with George Perrier. I was a pastry chef for George Perrier. And I had my own wholesale pastry business where I sold to small coffee shops and small restaurants that couldn't afford a pastry chef. And then ended up shutting that down and went into real estate and mortgages during that bubble explosion too, right? That was about 2006, 7, 8. And so I
Uh,
educated myself with my jobs all about the financial world. And
yeah,
in
sounds
also,
like
I
it.
did insurance when I was in college. So I've done a lot of self
What do you do in your
educating.
spare time? I mean, this is
Sleep.
this is wild.
I sleep. Uh, uh,
Sleep and some eating, maybe a little water here and there. So
yeah.
so insurance and real estate and all this and where did the pilot thing fit in?
So I got my
Was this
pilot's license back in 1996 when I was still back in college. My godfather owned a small airline, and I worked for his airline over the summer. And I got bored, so I started reading the private pilot's instruction book. And then my dad had a plane at the time, and my brother had just gotten his license. So I thought, oh, why not? Right? Let me do that too, right? And so I got my license in October of 96. And the airport that I got it, that completed it, where I got my instrument, um, is no longer an airport. It's an industrial park now. So it's kind of
so the
bittersweet.
airport got laid off,
Yes,
and
yes, exactly,
gotcha.
exactly.
How
And then,
interesting! What a trek you've been on. This is wild. Carry
yeah,
on.
yeah. And I've run 4 marathons. I speak 4 different languages. So there, as they say, the hurdles are just in your mind. And once you tackle your mind, you can do pretty much anything. That I find that to be true. And what taught me that was my first marathon. So it's any goal, as long as I break it down like marathon training to a completion, it's pretty easy to go ahead and accomplish that goal. It just takes the drive within yourself. And
That,
that's what
yeah.
brought me to trading, right? Was my husband reminded me I took a trade of 25,000 and turned it into 250,000. And he's like, "Why don't you look at trading?" And I thought, you know what? Yes, but I want to come back as a day trader. So that's when I started with a 6-month-old baby and trying penny stocks from Timothy Sykes. And I quickly
Tim
learned that was
Sykes.
not for me.
I haven't heard Tim Sykes' name in a decade or so. Is he still out there going for it?
He does still have his trading community and everything. And then there was Ross Cameron too with Warrior Trading. And
Yeah.
I joined his room. I was never part of his training, but I joined his room. And that's where I really learned about large cap. And that's what really piqued my interest was being able to trade the position size. What I found for me that I did not like was the penny stocks. You had to take such a large position that you had to keep your stops extremely tight, because if you're trading 10,000 shares and you're moving 10 cents, boom, that's going to hurt you. But if you're
Yeah.
trading a large cap and you're trading 100 shares and you have a 10-cent move, guess what? It's not as painful. So that's where it clicked for me. And I had blown up my first account, just like anyone. I was trying to trade with a 6-month-old baby. I had to stop limit in. I was trading low float moving stocks, and it blew right past my limit. And I was like, well, that was a lesson. Um,
That's
and
that
so
that those are super valuable lessons, and everybody seems to need to learn those early on. I've been there a time or two myself as well, and so it's better to learn those lessons before you get really deep into it and it hurts really really bad. So so then so then here you are now, and you do some day trading, some swing trading. You're focused on large cap still, is that correct?
correct.
And
Yeah. Well, it's also going to be once I moved forward and everything clicked, I started to get curious about other female traders. And so I actually wrote a book about female day traders, much like Market Wizards, but it's all about female traders. So people can see that it doesn't matter what your background is, it's the discipline and diligence in studying it that can make you profitable in trading. And there are different styles, like as much as we have a different fingerprint, everybody can trade a little bit differently, but there's going to be a style that matches their risk tolerance and their ability to stay in the market, whether it's swing trading or position trading or day trading or scalping. And so it helped me. It was the book that I wish that I had when I was
yeah,
starting out as a younger female day trader.
yeah, yeah. It seems like there is a lot of interesting information out there. So much of it is, I've read a lot of trading books, and a lot of it's not great, but the stuff that people write, like yourself, it sounds like, I obviously have not read your book yet, but I definitely will. It seems, don't you wish people did that a little bit more? Here's the information I wish I had, instead
Mm-hmm.
of here's a bunch of definitions on a bunch of stuff. And so you wrote this book, and it did that. Would you say that you already had cemented your trading style, or did that help you cement your trading style? Sometimes when you get really granular like that, it kind of flushes out the remaining, I don't know, question marks that might still be in there for the individual.
Well, I feel like it's kind of like the onion. The more that you peel back that you don't know, you find, or the more that peel back and you find what you know, you find that you don't know at the same time. And one of the people that I interviewed was Stephanie Cameraman, and she was trading all around the dark pool. And I also decided, you know what, I'm going to do a trading seminar. So I did the Modern Trader Summit that I put on for 4 years, and then COVID just kind of put a kibosh on that with international travel. And so I learned a lot from her with the dark pools, the ADAF trading, and bigger hedge fund positions. Then I also worked with her in educating and move forward into really taking that into perspective, because once you can see the large block trades, say 17 million or 50 million on SOXS, which we had last week, you start to go, why are they putting that trade on? Why are they putting $100 million into an ETF that's going to be a bare semiconductor? What do they know? Because I was prepared a month before the world shut down because I saw it in the prints. I saw it in the positioning of the stock market for 6 months. And on my week long vacation to Punta Cana, I was trading the crash and paying for the trip because I knew that it was coming.
Ah, very good, very good. So you love to follow the flow. You're looking for the big orders. You're looking to see the inflows, the outflows, and is that a big portion of kind of what you look at to determine your trades?
Yes, as far as if, I mean, with silver, I've been in silver since it was at $18. So this move
Silver.
has been amazing. I was screaming back in 2020, buy silver, buy physical silver, because the paper is likely going to detach from the physical price because the physical is just being consumed at a faster rate than it can be produced.
Yeah.
And the paper is suppressed. It's come out in the news, it's been suppressed. And so it's a scenario where you want to have something. Also, if the US dollar were to turn into, say, the Venezuelan currency and the Lebanese currency that just hyperinflated overnight, you want something that's a physical that always has value, gold and silver as a hedge. And that's where the trading risk management overflows into life, right? So knowing that I can trade it on paper or digital paper, right? But I also want to have some as a store of wealth. And this has turned into a generational wealth trade since $18. And now we're up, what is it now? We're up at,
80,
let's look at the futures,
almost 86.
$86. So you're talking about what, $68 profit
Yeah,
if you bought
that's
an
pretty.
ounce back then?
That's pretty great. That's pretty great. So what about, one thing that I love is the catalyst side of things, right? I think there's always, you have to find the reason. There's a lot of stocks that have dropped 90%, right? And then they spend 6 months, 6 years trading down at these lows. And then they have this great recovery, right? I mean, we've watched it happen with Robinhood. We've seen it happen with Carvana. It's happened countless times, right? There, you got the Wyckoff theory that's out there that exists around these kinds of patterns. So when you're looking at something, I mean, silver. Let's just say silver spent, um, you know, quite a long time not doing much. Right? You had that
Mm-hmm.
big run up in silver around COVID, and then basically the next 5 years it just did nothing. So obviously, if you're buying physical silver and you're holding on to it and you're saying, "Hey, this is a long-term play. I don't really care," great. But if you're trading silver and you're hoping it does something for you over that 5 year period, what's your are the flows your signal on that? What's your catalyst to say it's time to really go hard on silver?
Well, once, I mean, I know from trading it back, but when it was down at 18 and then jumped to 21 pretty quickly, I think it happened in like 10 trading days. It happened very quickly. And silver is the type of instrument that when you get into it, or I should say, when the big guys get into it and they're done their position, which can take months, like that Wyckoff theory and a nice rounded bottom or base, if they are done, then they are going to rocket ship that higher. And they just squeeze the shorts like crazy. And that's the sort of scenario where, yes, you can. I mean, I've held on to it for a while. I've taken profit, pulled back out, readjusted, gone back in. So I do swing trade it and day trade it as well, amidst all of this. And I just, I love the instrument, but it's more than just silver. It's really seeing that big money get into a position, waiting until those, like the reminiscence of a stock operator, right? The higher probability trades, wait for it to break that resistance or support, and then you can go in once you have confidence that you'll always have that big money at your back, right? Like, as the saying goes, I got your back. Well, I always want the big money to have my back because I'm not going to fight the billionaires or the biggest wallet or the biggest hedge fund that's in on this trade. I'm going to ride their coattails. It's the one time I am happy to be a follower.
That's excellent. So, what is your? I mean, what else would you put in there besides following the big positions? Are you looking at short-term chart patterns? Are you throwing some technical analysis in there? What kind of rounds out your approach?
Well, I definitely check the short volumes. I don't like short interest because that was created back when everybody was using newspapers and pen and paper for all of their data. Now the short volume is reported every night. So I check that out and I will look and see, like this morning silver had 60% short interest from Friday. So you knew there was going to be a squeeze going into the market today and likely a continuation move. So I do look at the short interest. I do look at the technical analysis. I've done chartered market technician studies as well. So I definitely add that into it. And, but most importantly is where is the biggest wallet in the room or the biggest wallet in the trade? Because that is going to really create the support or resistance that I'm going to look for as my stop, right? If that moves, like I just said, oh, I want to get out because I just saw that on the intraday chart for silver that they moved their position to 77.88. So if I'm hanging out here and we're having a chat and all of a sudden it's going to drop 50 cents, right? I can't ignore the fact that I saw that happen because I've seen it happen too many times, and it's trusting your trading plan and your trading style. If you can't trust yourself, then you're not going to be a good trader at the same time, because you have to have trust in in your analysis and your style of trading.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And but along with that trust comes, you know, your your track record has to back up that trust, right? And so, you know, you have to prove to yourself that what you're believing in and what you're doing actually works, right? And then, because you're right, even though you know something works and you've been doing it for a while, it's easy to second guess. It's easy when big numbers start moving around and you start thinking, am I right? Am I wrong? You know, whatever. Let's start jumping around here and seeing what happens. So, what would you? I mean, if you had to like elevator pitch a brand new trader, you know, I've managed a hedge fund for 20 years, and a lot of my friends know it. A lot of people I come across know it. And, you know, inevitably a dad or a mom of one of my close friends will say, you know, I think I want to get into trading. And I always say, well, don't, because you know what, how much time do you have? What are you going to do with it? You know, and I look back at my, you know, 25 years of trading, and I think it's a healthy lift. So, you know, what would you tell somebody that says, guess what, Jane, I'm thinking of getting into trading, I'm retiring from my job, whatever it is, for the last 30 years, and I've got spare time, I think I want to start trading. What's your kind of go-to there?
First of all, I'm going to say it's not a get rich quick scheme, right? You have to put your time and energy into it and study it. Because if you don't know what you're doing, it's like giving the keys of a Ferrari or Lamborghini to a 16-year-old with a brand new license. They're going to crash that car. So you can open up a trading account, you can fund it, and you can have zero experience. But without the knowledge of how to trade, you're likely going to lose all that money unless you just park it in something and leave it forever, right? But that's really more investing than trading. So I do courses as well where I teach people, and a lot of times people will come to me and they'll say, "Oh, I want to do it. I want to study." And I say, "Well, listen, you know, you've got to start off with a good foundation. You have to understand, what is a stock? Why are we even trading it? How does this come about? Who is the SEC? Why do you need to know about them?" Right? I know somebody that got into trading. They're like, "SEC, what are you talking about?" It's like, okay, that might be a problem if you're trading the US market, and you don't know what they are. So it's, you have to treat it like a new profession, and you have to put in the time and energy to study like an Olympic athlete. They don't go after 1 week and say, "I'm going to win the gold medal." No, they put in
Yeah.
time and dedication daily. And that's what it is. It has to be a passion for people that really want to be a trader, because it does take a lot of time and energy to really be aware and have a pulse of what's going on in the market and with whatever positions they have going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so if you had to describe your trading strategy in a few words to somebody, if somebody said, "Well, what do you do?" Because there's 100 approaches, there's 1,000 approaches. What's your favorite thing to look at to at least get your interest on a stock or whatever?
For me, it's definitely going to be the volume. Where is that big money volume? And where is the price in relation to that? As simple as that. If you have a big money volume right here and the price is going up, they were buying. You have a big money volume level right here and the price goes down, they were selling. If you're only a long bias trader, don't go short. Then wait for that big money to be at your back, right? Wait for it, like meme stock right now, MEEM. It's not a stock, it's an ETF. That has a lot of new quantum stocks in it, and that has a great rounded bottom to it. I'm loving it right now because I love the chart pattern and I like that style. So the more time that people spend in the market and study, the more they figure out what they're really comfortable with and the best way also to paper trade first until they're profitable, because throwing real money at it is not going to make it stick as far as education unless you actually spend the time to learn it.
Absolutely. So, in your typical trading, are you just going straight with the equities? Are you trading options? What's your preferred way there?
I usually enjoy swing trading stocks and then day trading options. So, because of the leverageability with using options, however, I find that there is more manipulations in the option market than there is in the stock market.
Yeah, you do. Pricing can certainly be a lot more erratic there for sure. What? So you said meme is one you're watching. What are a couple of favorites right now? Obviously, you've had some exposure and sound like you've had a great run on silver. What else are you looking at? What's got your attention?
Right now, I'm also looking at NVIDIA, watching the top four ETFs, right? SPY, QQQ, IWM, and DIA to see, because I'm starting to also see that they are changing their positions. I tend to do it quarterly for the big ETFs. And I see that, for example, on the SPY right now, that they rotated their position to be at, just waiting for it to load, 692.06. So as long as I'm getting the signal that they're buying, amazing. No need to look elsewhere. It's when I start to get the ETFs like UVXY, VXX, the inverse ETFs such as SQQ, SRTY, and they're taking big positions, it brings my attention to it. Like I'd mentioned with SOXS. So SOXS had last week 50 million and it was between 235 and 265. So right now it looks like they really want to take it long because we're below that 235 level, right? So the inverse, if it's going to go down, then the underlying instrument will go up. So looking at things like that, the abnormal large volume that will pique my interest as to where the money is flowing, because it's always flowing somewhere just like water.
Yeah, yeah. Watching the volume is certainly a big one. So I think that's a great reminder for sure for a lot of new traders that are trying to kind of figure out their signal as well. But I mean, it's a great signal. Volume is always, like you said, follow the big money. There's a lot of reasons that things happen, but when it comes down to it, when big positions start pushing things, you don't want to be against that. It's like, don't fight the Fed, don't fight the big money. Just roll with it. It's easier. Um, so that's excellent. Are you watching any? We're obviously in January. We're the first half of January of the year. There's a lot of January stuff going around. As January goes, so goes the year. Do you look at any seasonality stuff?
I definitely do. I look at equity clock to see. Actually, one of my favorite tools is Moby Tick Trading. So Moby Tick Trading was developed by my buddy Dave, a fellow Canadian, and he has stocks, the volume, and the seasonality to see. It's automatically on the platform, so you're able to see, is this acting like it normally should, or is it a one-off like GameStop big major run manipulation, all that sort of stuff. So you can see. Also, I try to stay away. I try to go above $5. So eliminating those penny stocks off of my radar. And I also like to trade them with at least 100 million shares in the float, just because those others can be too erratic. Staying away from pharmaceuticals with announcements, because those can be up or down depending on the news. And that just, no, I'd prefer to stick with, what's more consistent and I know is going to have an easier move to it.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, I love what you're doing. You have quite a background in all these different things, and here you have landed in trading, and it sounds like you're having a great run at it. Traders, I think, certainly can tend to come from the most interesting backgrounds. It's how often do you meet an attorney or a doctor that's like, well, I ended up in law school after doing 10 different totally unrelated things. It's but traders, we come from everywhere, and so that's super cool. So tell people where they can follow you, find out more about what you're doing. What do you have available for people to watch?
Yes, well, thank you. I have all my education on the website Carpe Profit because, like Carpe Diem, you want to seize those profits one trade at a time. And I also have another website, cjanetrade.com, which has a little bit more history about me. It's got my blog on it, everything like that. And my two trading books. Well, I've got an ebook that's on carpeprofit.com, How to Trade Like a Billionaire, Following That Big Money. Very easy little ebook to get started about how to put it on their charts with TradingView and everything like that. And my Trust Transition and Trade, FMJ. Now, Jared, can you imagine what FMJ might be as a trader or somebody that wants to get into trading? What could that stand for?
FMJ. I just fill me in. Fill us
What do
all in.
most people want to say when they're ready and they're done with their 9 to 5 job?
FMJ. I've always
Forget
been
this
such a
job,
trader's.
right? We'll say it in the nice way, nice, clean fashion. Yeah, but they're just
Yes.
ready. They're like, I am done with this, which I think a lot of people are going to start to see that they're done with that 9 to 5 rat race, especially post COVID, that so many people were at home. They got to see the benefit of being at home and working from home.
Yeah.
That was part of the reason why the market went up so much was people were bored and they started to learn how to trade. It was great time.
It is. It is. It was awesome to see so many people get involved in trading, and I've been at this long enough that it was almost offensive how the dumb money was always, oh, the retail traders, the dumb money, and really since COVID and certainly since the meme stock craziness where the dumb money steamrolled hedge funds. I think retail traders are really having their time in the light. Their appearance of, hey, retail traders do know a lot of what's going on, and in fact, with the advent of these prediction markets everywhere, people are finding out that the average individual is actually very right quite a bit, and so I think that's very encouraging for people getting into trading. The information's there, like you said, put the work in, but retail traders are doing a bang up job now, and so with people like you helping and making sure they have some guidance along the way, that's awesome. Well, Jane, thank you for joining us on the podcast today. We'll link all of your socials and websites and everything below this episode so everybody can have a look at that. But thanks for joining us. That's awesome stuff, and we'll stay in touch, and we'll hope to have you on again in the near future.
Thank you, Jared. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.